Hello and a very warm welcome to yet another edition of The Real Talk. How are you doing? Is everything going on well? Thank you for making time to be part of this conversation. And once again, I'm excited. I think the thing about me is that I am always excited because there's not a single guest that I invite by accident. All of them are very intentional, deliberately sought, and with the hope that from every one of these conversations you get to learn. I also come to learn. I'll not lie to you. I also pick a lot from the conversation. So today's, as excited, we're going to talk about gender. We're going to talk about gender because my guest is a communication specialist with such a leaning towards gender issues. So we're going to talk about that. We'll also talk about single motherhood. There are lots of single parents out there, mothers and fathers. My guest is a she, so we'll talk about single mothers and how cool or the many other challenges that are there. I use the term cool because social media has brought it up as the in thing, and yet the reality sometimes is different. My name is Jackie Lumbasi. Use the hashtag TheRealTalk if along the way you want to share with us your thoughts. Let's meet our guest. Welcome to the program. Our guest today is Rahmat Umuhoza. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for honoring my invitation.
My pleasure as well.
You know, I said you're a communication specialist with a leaning towards gender.
Sure.
Before we get to your career, I want us to go back to where your life started. The genesis is very important. So give us a bit of that background.
I'm the oldest child in the family, and
how many children?
I would say I have half sisters and half brothers, so I would say I'm the only child, but having half.
Oh, you're the only child between your mom and your dad.
Yeah,
and then you have the halves.
Half siblings.
Yes, each side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course I grew up in a Muslim family. Went for my schools. Like my dad was, he's this man who believes in education, whether you're a girl or not. Like you need to like have a good education, and
yeah, some parents would want that for their sons, not necessarily daughters. But your father,
yeah, my father
had for the girls.
Yeah, even till now, he's always
How many
pushing.
girls are you?
I'm the only one he has.
Oh, the rest are boys. Your other siblings are
at
boys.
my dad's side, the rest are boys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So at my mom, there's one boy and one girl. Yeah. So I grew up a long time being one child till my dad.
Who did you live with? Between your mom and your dad, who did you live? Now that these are...
You know, when I'm telling my stories is
you know, once you bring in, I have this number of siblings on my mom's side and my father's side, it means your parents are not together.
Yeah.
So who did you live with?
I stayed with my dad the longest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I stayed with but my dad believed in education, so he wanted me to have the best. So he was like, since I'm stable and, you know, I can manage the whole thing, so yeah, I'll have you on. Yeah.
And your mom, that side was okay?
Yeah, my mom was also okay, since he was like, you know, my child, you know, she deserves better and stuff like that. So she was like, okay, then you can go on. Good. Yeah, so I got a sibling after, I think I was 7 when I got my first siblings.
Yes.
Yeah, so my dad was really...
He must have really pampered you those 7 years.
Yeah, but he wasn't really around. He was into, he had a very demanding career, so he could travel most of the time. Yeah. So I grew up at home, sometimes with my dad, some other times with the family, you know, the relatives.
Uncle, an aunt.
Actually, our home was really filled up with people from the family.
Cousins as well.
Yeah, very. My uncles, my cousins, aunties, and you know, side from my dad's side. So yeah, that's the kind of environment I grew up in.
Yeah. So growing up in such an environment, as you grew older, what were your ambitions? What were you thinking about? I want to imagine you performed very well in school because your father seemed to have really kept you in check.
And very straight.
Yes, and very straight. So then you're going through school and you decide, when I grow up, I want to become this. What did you envision?
When I was in school, I was really good with language, whether French, whether English, whether Kinyarwanda, whether Swahili. So I knew that I wanted to become a journalist. And that was...
Did you have any journalists that you
back
looked
then
up to
there
back
was Murerwa Evelyn. Yeah, she was the famous TV presenter and all that. Wow. So I grew up looking up to her. I knew that one day
you wanted to be like her.
Yeah. So I was quite clear with what I wanted to be at a young age. And whether during my primary school, during my secondary school, I was really keen on that. And like whatever I could do, I was like, I need to do well in language so that, you know, I don't know where we got this thing that with journalism, people need to be good with languages and stuff.
It's
so,
a fact.
Yeah, I was really keen to that. And when it came to science,
You struggled.
I struggled, really.
My story.
Not sure if it's because, sometimes I wonder if it was because maybe I knew what I wanted to become.
That's the thing, I think it was the attitude.
I don't know.
So you said, I will not try.
Something was, I don't know, something was off maybe somehow.
Yeah.
So I did language in secondary school, of course, because with language, you become a journalist. So yeah, that's what I did. The moment I completed my high school, I didn't really had time to sit at home. I was so dynamic in secondary school. I was a girl guide. I was into media club. I was into debate club. So I was so dynamic that I immediately started my career just right after. And I think at some point I started right, like I was in senior 4.
So what was the first thing, when you say you started your career, what was the first thing you did? What was the first job?
Actually, before completing my high school, that was in 2012, I was in senior 4. I started my internship at RBA, but in Musanze, Musanze Radio, the community radio, in 2012. So
you lived in Musanze?
Yeah, that's my hometown.
Oh,
That's where I grew up.
I love Musanze.
Oh,
I love it
the weather, everything.
Yeah.
So that's where I grew up, and that's where I had my internship. I think at that time I was 16, 17 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I started with radio presenting. Yeah. Up to...
But you were presenting a program on air during your internship when you were around 17.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like I knew what I wanted from a young age. Yeah, and
you know, I'll tell you, by the time I was 17, so I was almost finishing high school, and just like you, I was into languages. I was the person that would stand in front of the school, read a text. People loved my voice. They loved everything else. But then it wasn't very clear that journalism was something I wanted to do. Believe it or not, by 17, it wasn't very clear to me. And
it does happen. It does happen. But for me, I was empowered enough.
Yeah.
From my background, so I was empowered enough to know I knew what I wanted really, and my environment was supportive enough, and the opportunities were there. We had a community radio in the district, so yeah, I had
good.
And my confidence was higher then. The experience was good because I started with. When you started as an intern, you have this senior journalist, and then you co-host. So I had challenging programs, like some were adults program, some were like entertainment programs, which were not really my thing, but I had to fit in. Yeah, so that, I need to show them that I can do it. Yeah. So it really shaped me, and also being, starting your career at a national,
that level, yes.
So it really gave me a really nice package because I stayed there since I completed my high school. That was up to 2014, but I went a little bit extra up to 2015.
Okay.
That's when I now travel to Kigali from home.
That was the first time you traveled to Kigali.
Yeah.
So when you came to Kigali, did you continue with your media ambition, or did it die?
Well, when I came to Kigali, I think that's when now I started my gender.
Gender thing.
Yeah, career kind of. So it was in 2015 towards 2016. I worked with, it was a young organization that was doing some storytelling for leadership, training with women, capacity building with organizations and stuff. So I joined there as an intern, but it was on a contract, 3 times a week.
And as an intern, were you getting paid?
Yeah, I was getting paid.
Oh, nice.
I remember back then my salary was around 150K. Yeah, which was good.
Yeah, that was
good back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it really shaped me into now that was something different from what I've been doing, radio presenting, you know, going to the field, collecting the news and stuff. Yeah, but when I joined that organization, now it was about, like I told you, I had started with debate in secondary school and stuff. So public speaking was not really an issue for me. So now I had to fit into what they were doing, learn into what they're doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing what they do.
That's it, like strategic communication.
Exactly,
yes,
exactly.
You know, moving from broadcasting and news reporting to something higher and bigger.
Sure. So now I had to be a trainer. I was trained to be a trainer, and I had to train, but also do some impact. Because I was more of an impact trainer, intern, an impact intern. So I was more into like assessing.
What does it mean to be an impact intern?
When we say impact in the world of organizations,
That's it. Please explain, because people they throw that word around expecting that we all understand.
Sure.
What is impact in the NGO world?
So now they could go on the field, they train people, they give them booklets, you know, they provide them with tools and knowledge for public speaking, for storytelling. And then after that, we could have stories like women who have started their business after the training we gave them. They increase their self-confidence. They can now ask for what they want to their husbands, you know. So we were working with more...
They're empowered.
We were empowering women, but mostly to kind of like expressing their ideas, you know, kind of, yeah. So I was part of the people who could go to the field to assess now what they have done. Yeah, so we could do evaluations, we could collect stories from the testimonial stories from the project participants. So I was more of an impact intern then. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of understanding. You weren't accused of breaking homes? If you're going out there and you're telling this woman, I need you to start asking for these things, the husband does not know their wife like that.
Sure.
You're turning their wives into something else.
You know, with this kind of project, sometimes within our local, even our background, with the way things are structured, we recognize that men still have power. So at some point, we were involving them into the project.
Okay.
Yeah, so your wife is going through this, so you should be aware of what your wife is going through.
And help her with that journey.
Yeah, and sometimes it was also not from a home perspective, but other organizations calling us to train their beneficiaries and right holders. So sometimes we could deal with the companies itself. Some other times we could deal with the household levels. Yeah, so it was...
You know, when it comes to communicating gender issues, what is the most important thing? And in this case, I want you to speak to fellow practitioners and to us, the consumers of your communication. Because gender issues can be quite complicated.
Sure.
You know, as you've said, I'm glad that your work somehow brought the men together with the women, because there are many times when the men feel alienated. And then you find some other things that will target men and the women feel excluded.
Sure.
So when it comes to communicating gender issues, for there not to be a misunderstanding, for you not to be labeled a bitter feminist or bitter unmarried, divorced and all these things, what should one bear in mind when they're communicating gender issues? And for us out here, what should we be looking out for?
As I told you, I've started this journey that's like almost 10 years ago. It was, so speaking from experience as a communication person into this, there are two things for me. One is understanding the context of the country or the local area that you are working in. So that really is very key. That's one thing I learned that is very important. So, because if you understand the context of that country, the area, the community, you know how to go about it. And maybe you talk about things from their own perspectives. And that will make...
to transplanting something from a different community and forcing it on them.
Yeah, but if you know that, if you know what they believe in, if you know how they go, if you know what they do, if you know why they do what they're doing, you know how to communicate. And the second thing is like take men along. And I think that is something that we've recently came to realize that into the gender industry, area, now people understand why men should be involved. It shouldn't be a woman, a female thing. So men should be taken along.
What brought about that realization? Were there mistakes made in the past?
You know,
we just shed some light on that.
We've been doing quite well with gender, but we still had so many issues that are not really tackled, you know, and we could always see it, say, why is not, like, why don't we see things as we want? Like, there is no, yes, we are seeing results, but not
like
tangible.
You know, tangible.
Something somehow is missing. So what's missing? So it was really a long discussion. It was a long journey. People could agree and not agree. Somewhere it was a huge. You could understand in the room of, you know, gender practitioners and stuff talking about that. So it really came to a time now they were like, I think it's not like we've made a mistake, but I think we forgot something while on the journey. Yeah. So that's where they came now, like, we've taken this thing as a women issue. Why we are forgetting that men still holds power. Now we're understanding our Rwandan context, right? So we are telling women to work, we are telling women to earn money, you know, businesses, education, but we are forgetting that our fathers are the one paying school fees. We are forgetting that our husbands, they'll give us permission, you know, like they'll give us permission to attend something, and you know, so that's where now they were like, okay, we need to sit and strategize on how to bring men into this conversation and the journey. So that's how things started. Yeah.
And you've seen good results since then?
Really, and like
better, healthier relationships and marriages.
As I was telling you, I moved from organization to organization.
You moved through many of them.
Yeah. So I myself had an opportunity now to like testify that myself. Like what happens when men and women come together? They are all brought into the journey. So there are really good testimonies, there are really good impact, especially when it comes to GBV. Now a husband was beating a wife because he went into Kimina, you know, this community, the saving groups and stuff.
Yes.
So, but now, because, you know, now a husband understands why a woman should be empowered, why my wife should have work. What if tomorrow I die? What if we have, like, what if I
lose the job?
Exactly, what if I lose the job? What happens? Like, you know, a wife shouldn't be asking me for almost everything. Like, you know, so now they see the benefits.
Okay.
Yeah, which sometimes people don't agree into the approaches. Some uses confrontational approaches. Some are using benefits realization approaches. You know, people are using different approaches, but as long as they all, you know, lead to
on the same journey.
Yeah.
Before we take a break, Rahmat, let's talk about something that the society seems to have accepted. Because even when we talk about women empowerment, the reason we strive to look for that empowerment, education, is because for the longest time women remained behind, and women were conditioned to persevere. You know, whenever a woman went back to her parents' home and said, you know, he has done this to me, they would say, go back.
Go back, that's how things are.
That's how things are. Do you think you're the first one to be treated like that? You go back. And then you find a lot of women back then and even today remained in relationships because they have nowhere to run. The aunt will not receive them. The parents are not receiving them. So they've got to stay with this man because after all, a woman's role is to endure, persevere, you know.
Yeah.
What do you think made that acceptable? In the many researches you have seen, the studies you have seen, and how do we come off that shackle? Because unfortunately, is that persists, that condition persists, and sometimes it doesn't know how educated, how powerful a woman is. We've seen women go to work with a plaster on the head, an injury here and there. They'll say they fell in the bathroom.
Yeah.
They fell down the stairs. Later on, you'll hear a different story.
Sure. Like, most of the time I always use a sentence like, there are some things we attribute to the culture, which sometimes are not really into the culture, but they are into, and sometimes we have things that we call social norms. You know, and when the community embraces those kind of social norms, women should do that, men shouldn't do this. So we have like a basket, you know, where we have what women are allowed to do and not allowed to, and we have what men are allowed to and not what men are not allowed to. So, and if the society embraces it, and we reward those who fit into the basket, and we kind of shame those who are not fitting into the basket, that's how now things grow, and maybe they become a part of the culture that we're talking about today. Which maybe sometimes if you see maybe in the old or the ancient Rwanda, you wouldn't find those things, but because maybe a certain community came up with that something, now it was embraced, it was rewarded. People who were not fitting in, they were given names in Shinzi, you know, a woman who is talkative, kind of, a man who is not, you know, male, you know, lion kind of thing, is Inganzwa, you know, those kind of names they were attributing to people who are not fit into the
basket.
The basket. So for me, I would say it's the way they were taught. They were taught into the community. People were embracing it, and people were trying to fit in as well, to be rewarded and not to be ashamed of. So at some point, that's how, you know, those societal norms grow into.
Is it possible to break free?
Yeah. If it simply means one thing, like if I'm being in this basket, what am I gaining? If I'm being into that basket, if I'm out of that basket, what am I losing? So it's a matter of balancing and recognize that these things were not, how should I say, they are not implanted. Like, you are not born, you know, to say you do this and do that. There are those biological things that we all know, like they are biological, yes, but there are also things that were built from communities, from people's perspectives, and sometimes we don't even know where they came from. But I always say, let's be aware of those things and try to walk the journey, and let's not shame someone who is trying to move out. Yeah.
Accept them.
And not reward those who are still doing it.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rahmat. We will be back in just a bit. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. My name is Jackie, and Rahmat is our guest. She's a communication specialist with a leaning towards gender. And as you've heard, she's had quite many years in that space. When we come back, we'll be looking at the issue of single motherhood. Is it easy? Is it challenging? What are those truths that we are not being told? Because sometimes when you look through social media, you'll see it's been portrayed as, you know, cool, an independent, powerful, single mother, but are there things that they're going through when none of us is watching, when they're not online? We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back to The Real Talk. Please use the hashtag TheRealTalk. We are live on RTV and on our official YouTube channel. Rahmat, you're a single mother of two.
Yep.
How old are the kids?
9 and 6, both girls.
Wow,
Yeah.
Both girls. Beautiful. How has that life been for you? And you know, let me first say why that question is very important for me. I have a lot of friends who are single mothers. Some of them found themselves in there because a husband passed away. Another one was abandoned by the man as soon as the child appeared. Another one was abandoned as soon as she communicated she was pregnant. So different scenarios. There's one who's made a choice. I have the means, why not? You know?
Sure.
And I'm sure all these women, there are things they will experience in common, but then there will also be certain situations and experiences that could be unique to them.
Sure.
You, how has been your journey?
As I told you when I came to Kigali, now as someone who is coming from like a more of a rural...
The rural area.
Yeah, area.
Coming to the city.
Sure, coming to the city. So Kigali was all loud, you know, but also I was into my young age.
Yeah, you're still young. That was like early 20s?
20s. Yeah, I was almost getting, I was 20. I was 20.
20?
Yeah, when I had my first one.
Oh, wait, when you had your first one?
Yeah.
And that was around the same time that you came to the city?
Exactly.
Hey, that was a good welcome.
That's what usually people say. Yeah.
Like, welcome to Kigali.
It was indeed a welcome to Kigali.
Yes.
So I was young. I was also exploring my career and stuff like that, but also exploring relationships. You know, at 20, a young girl. You know, now
And that was your
Kigali.
first relationship?
It was kind of my second, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my second, I think. Yeah. So that's when I had my first one when I was 20.
No plan?
It was not really.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't really. But I always believed in something like a child is a blessing, which I'll also talk about that. Sometimes that we, you know, take decisions.
We push it.
Yeah, we push it. Yeah, but also but also I was like, I don't believe in abortion.
Oh, yes.
Like especially, you know, those things that happen behind the curtains and, you know, not illegal kind of. So I was like...
Even with all the years now that you've spent in the gender space, you still don't believe in abortion?
I believe it.
You do,
I believe in abortion.
You can listen to a woman's story.
I don't judge, really.
don't judge.
Because I believe each one has her choices. They have their reason why they're doing it. So as I told you, I believe in a child being a blessing. So, but also I wouldn't see myself committing abortion back then, you know, at my 20s and, you know. So there are things that really were not that clear yet, you know, even options that were not open yet to people to explore. So I think we were limited at some point. Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. And so I had my first one. After some like 2.5 years, I had a second one. Yeah. And, you know, raising a child in Kigali, a young girl of 20.
I have so much respect for you.
That's why they come. You know, there's this meme that always goes around like, why did you hustle? You know, like a man, because again, the social norms and, you know. Yeah, so like I had to hustle, you know. I was away from home. That's one. I wasn't going back with my pride. No, I wasn't going back home. Yeah. So I had to find ways to, you know, live and sustain what I'm, you know, deal with my expenses and all stuff. And again, with a child.
Sustain what you're building.
Yeah.
Was the father of the child in your life, was he supportive?
At some point he was, but at some point he also disappeared for his own reasons, which I don't really talk about.
Okay.
But he had his own reasons, yeah. So I had to raise the child alone. And, you know, when there is this journey where you like, now that my child is 2.5 years, like, you know, the trauma, the wounds, you know, I was now getting life back.
The wounds have healed.
Yeah, the wounds have
You're
healed.
like, I can now go back out. I can go to the market. Let me shower and go back to the market.
Yeah. So
you did, and you got a second child.
You know, a second one.
No, but then it wasn't that normal for you because now you are getting children out of wedlock.
Yeah.
This is not the norm within your community.
Exactly. It's which is different.
Yes, that's
and remember, I'm not home. I'm in Kigali.
Oh,
no one knows me.
No one knows you.
Yeah.
No one is going to judge you.
Yeah. So. But also because I was having a stable career. Also, I was like, now I can raise my child on my own. And at that time, I think that the 2 years with the firstborn, they were not really that hard. Like, because I think there's this, I told you, you know, with the belief like a child is a blessing and stuff like that. I was, when I got to know that I'm pregnant, I was transitioning from the other organization I told you I started with to a second one. So it was into that phase. So it was a better opportunity. A good salary, you know, insurance and everything. So I was like,
here is the blessing.
Exactly. You see now? Yes. So it really did not you know, like emotionally, it's something I wasn't planning. And I was planning, by the way, to enroll for university. Yeah, when I heard that, when I got to know the news that I was pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah, so now.
Because now that cut it short.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
It cut it short.
Yeah.
Now I was like, okay, I need to postpone this study thing, focus on the baby. Maybe after 1 year, I might now.
I want us to jump to something. I want to know, back then, with a baby that is young at 2, and then today with a 9-year-old, what's been the most difficult thing for you to deal with as a single mother? What was that time you'd say, here I was down, mentally, physically, and then you're saying, this other phase, ooh, I blossomed.
Doing it alone.
Doing it alone. It's not easier.
Now I'm 20, right? I gave birth almost to 21, 9 months, now it's coming to 21, okay? So alone in Kigali, no family, though they're around, but we have, today's
bond
family
is not
things,
there.
Yeah, things are scattered.
But the family in the city is different from family in the village.
So now the emotional part of me knowing that I'm bringing a child in the world, I was still young as well, emotionally immature. Like, I had so many things that I need to learn. I'm telling you, I was planning to go to school, to the university and stuff like that. So it was a lot to handle at that time. But I think with the work I had, with the job I had, I did not have time to process.
It distracted.
Exactly. It gave me that, I don't know, things are
chilled.
Exactly. Things will get
some sense of security.
Exactly. So I was like, I think I'll manage. So it was more of a financial security. I was focusing on.
Yeah.
So I didn't think much about the emotional, part of it.
Yes.
Because
sometimes we think once the finances are there,
everything is handled. Exactly.
But that's not the truth.
And I think that's something that today's world people don't really talk about. Once you're economically good, you're financially okay, you think, things are easy. And that's not really the case. Yeah, it's a pure lie.
Whether it's a pure lie.
It's a pure lie.
There's more to life than money.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's how I learned, the sleepless nights. I don't have anyone to give the child to, hey, help me with, 5 minutes and then I sleep, the kids get sick. With these monthly injections they give to kids, the
immunization.
The immunization,
yes.
Yeah. So sometimes you could go there, mostly when the child is 2 months and a half. There is one that is really
very painful.
I think it's
I don't know where it is, but I know lots of mothers complain.
That one is really bad.
Yeah.
The child can
like for 3 days. I think the pain lasts 3 days.
Exactly. 2 days crying, not eating, the fever and everything. You're not sleeping. Remember, I'm working. In the morning, I need to go to work. So it was really crazy. But sometimes I'm like, you have these supporting systems, but not everyone is lucky to have them. Yeah. I was working in a women and girls' rights organization. So we were given 4 months leave.
Maternity leave.
Yeah. So
for many, it's 3 months.
But for us, we had 4. So now, but despite being 4, still I'm exhausted, from the sleepless nights. In the morning, I need to wake up. I do the other stuff, being the oldest daughter of the family also, puts in something else, So
and being someone that has to prove to the world that you have
You can do it.
Because I think that's the biggest challenge. You're struggling because the world is watching, and I will not allow them to see my tears.
And remember, back
I won't
then,
allow them to see me
back then, social media was not really
what it is today.
Yeah, what it is today.
It was not so much into our lives.
Now things became harder when I had the second one. So I had to prove to my family that I did not ask anything from the first child, neither did we lied for the second.
Yes.
Exactly. Now with a big trauma, how will I explain to the community, to my family, to the people who sees me out there that I had a second one, like this situation.
And I was left on my own.
Exactly. So,
they say once bitten, twice shy. I was bitten, but I didn't get shy.
So it was really something that I think the second one really hit me hard. Really hit me hard more than the first one.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, the first one it
You
was
think
more.
I should have done better?
The first one was more emotional, but the second one come now with Russians. Like I need to, like, you know, now I know what it is like. I had started testing what it is like. So how now two children in Kigali, you know. You need to work to feed them. You need to prove to the world that you're okay, you can manage. So things were really hard. But thankful, I thank my family, my mother's family.
Your mother's family.
They were there. Though it was also not really smooth, but I really appreciate them. But at some point, like I had emotional breakdown. And
you know, paint for me a scenario. Give me one time, if there's one thing you remember, because every mother will have that time they remember with their child. Just give me that one thing that you remember that, hey, emotional breakdown, if you don't know how it looks, this is it.
The first time I was going to leave my child to go to the field work.
For a few days?
It was 1 week.
And you couldn't go with the child?
I was like, how am I going to do it? You know, some policies, some organizations were not yet with these kind of policies where you need to, like, when you have a mother who is nursing, you need to, you know, these policies were not yet there. So, to some organization. So, I was like, how am I going to do that? But also, it also, you know, delays that career thing. Sometimes I was like, I'm not going to the field because I have a child. Because I'm into a women rights-based organization, they'll be okay. It's okay if you don't. But career-wise, what are you giving? That things of now women coming to compromise, you know, to deal with everything, like silently, like I wouldn't come to my manager and say, hey, this is what it's like, this is what's happening, like, but at some point I was also having my own battles inside. Like I need to prove to my work, my boss, that I can do the job despite, you know,
the problems.
But I also needed to be there for my kids, because no one else is there. I don't have a husband to leave the kids to and say, hey, you know, I'm traveling. So
did you make that trip? Did you still travel?
I did.
And you went through that 1 week?
I had to call in my mom.
Oh.
My mom traveled from Musanze. She came to stay.
Yes.
Yeah. So
but
now
I'm
imagine
sure where you went, you were not at peace.
I was not because I was like, you know, even I was breastfeeding. So at some point I was like, you know, the headaches, the fever, your mom calling you like the kid is not really good with milk. Now you need to formula milk and stuff. Yes. So like,
and then whenever you're pumping milk and pouring it.
Because pumping was my dear.
Yes. Pumping wasn't what pumping is today.
No way. So you had to deal with your own, you know,
I remember back then, you just see a woman's blouse or
people now
stained.
Exactly.
These days we don't see milk on women's tops.
No. We had these like sponges, like you could put
place there.
Yeah, you place there, you deal with it for some hours,
and then
you go and change. No, that's what
thing.
It was really crazy, and the mom calling in, you calling in every now and then also to check in, like how is it, like, you know. So there are really, I would say, some years of instability. I would say career-wise. I told you I was going to study. I did not at that time. So, and even I'm still struggling now. Like, you know, I always tell people when I graduate, my dear. When I graduate,
we will have a celebration.
I'll have a 1 week celebration.
1 week celebration.
I'll have 1 week because I've been trying to study for 7 years almost now. Like, you know, I go for 1 year, after I drop, I'll go for another year, I drop, you know. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's work demanding, sometimes it's motherhood calling, you know, you don't have anyone to, you know. So, and we have this way, now, when I had the second one, now social media was, you know, was coming, was growing and stuff. So as also someone who was working into, you know, communication, being a journalist, stuff like that. So I was present on the media. I was present on social media and stuff. So I also needed to convince people, you know, that, which I think sometimes most of us girls, even not only girls, even men, like I think it has become a trend that social media is trying to, like, I don't know, like idolizing independency.
Yes, romanticizing it, making it look like the best thing one can do.
And now that we are having families that are breaking down, divorce rates, increasing, people are highlighting this thing of, wanting to do things alone.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder if we really understand, we understand what it is to the core.
What it means, the intricacies.
Are we really, okay. Yes, it's okay.
As a communicator, Rahmat, tell me what we don't understand. As a communicator and from your own experience, for us out here who go on social media and think, oh, mom, that's Nani, single mama, and she's doing well, she's high flying. And there's a young girl somewhere in university who is saying, I will be like so-and-so because as a single mother, there are so many. What is it you want us to understand before we get ourselves in that situation? From your experience, because as you've said, social media is making it look so good.
So easy.
And easy.
Yeah.
You've lived through it and you're thinking it's not easy.
I think we've enjoyed so much and underlined so much about the financial part of it, and which most of the time we think that if we are financially okay, we are good. But really, the finance is a small part of it, because there is this emotional thing. Motherhood, you have no day off, Whether you are sick and the child calls in, you need to. The homework comes in, you have a call online, you need to. The sleepless night, whether you are tired or not, in the morning you are going to work, it doesn't care,
Yes. It's a kind of job that doesn't stop.
You just need to
from the time you give birth to when, in fact, motherhood doesn't stop even if a child is fully grown and old.
Exactly.
And gray.
I had one old woman back then when I had the first child. She told me that motherhood never ends. And I was like, you have grandkids in university and you are still worried. Believe me, now I understand.
Now you understand.
I have a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Now she's into P3, soon going into P4. Yep. But still, though they are now a bit,
And every stage comes with its own
exactly
challenges.
When you say now the sleepless nights are over, the baby sicknesses and stuff are gone, now there comes school. School comes, homeworks, parental meetings, I don't know, this and that. The international days, we need to be looking like doctors,
exactly. Oh, yes, career days.
Exactly.
They make us go look for, I have a 12-year-old and my nephew that I'm raising. And so I go through that as well. Oh, it's career day. Oh, you've got to go to the teachers. And then the mood swings. Now that he's 12, we're not conversing the same way we did when he was 6.
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes I even have to beg him, can you talk to me? Can you listen to me? I'm trying to...
And remember, now that she's going to school, she's seeing other kids with their mama, tomorrow their papa,
So she also asks questions.
She starts asking questions.
Where is dad?
And sometimes you're not, and most of the time,
you don't have
starting with me, you're not ready to tell the story yet. And you're also wondering how you're going to do it.
Have you told the story yet?
Not yet.
You haven't?
Not yet.
And do you have an idea of when you will do it? When how old?
Which is now I'm saying motherhood, one ends, the other one comes, Now that P3 is ending, she's getting to 9 now, and now I'm thinking about adolescenthood, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm like, now within 10 years, she started asking, why is dad not with us? Why does he come and go? Why? We are always saying he's at work, he'll come. But what will happen?
Exactly. And then, there'll come a time when they'll be asking you, and why didn't you marry again?
Exactly.
Even when you're done telling them daddy is not here for this and that reason, they'll be asking, when are you getting married again? What has stopped you from finding us another dad?
Exactly, and also given the trauma into the childhood trauma, I was not exposed to contraceptives. I was young. I didn't know that I was supposed to maybe use we didn't talk about sex. Sex was a taboo growing up. No. Now I'm like, how can I do better that my kids won't suffer what I did? So it's stress after stress, stress after stress, and I think that's what people don't really
like it. I don't like it. Yes.
Yeah, understand.
We're almost concluding the conversation. Talk about dating. So as a single mother, Is it easy for you to date?
My dear, hey, that's a real thing. That's really, you know, you start.
Because some of the assumption will be that it's easy because after all,
Not
you don't have
really.
anyone tying you to them.
There are two things.
Yes.
You feel like you're not pressured because you have kids. Our biological clock is okay. You know, I don't. It's okay. And the other time you're like, the loneliness. You know. You know, I also need to have a complete family, you know, as someone who grew up with a broken family, kind of. So you also have that pressure. So it's a lot of things like in one. And now you start raising standard also, you know, and you're like, okay, like I need to find, you know, A, B, C, D. Now that I had 5 criteria of the Mr. right now, I need to have 20, you know, which is unrealistic sometimes. Yep. And sometimes also...
But I think you're even torn between taking them higher than 5 or reducing them, because also as we grow old, you're trying to...
Exactly. So it's really a battle. It's really a battle. And sometimes it also comes with, you know, now I'm into my early 30s. Now there is these things with our bodies changing, hormonal imbalances, you know, we've been using contraceptives and stuff. Like now things go, you know, they become a mess, you know, and you're like, hey, I'm handing up.
You know,
yeah.
Rahmat, you're going to come back. You've stirred something in me, and I really want you to come back. Because again, as a society, we don't talk enough about this. First, we still have people that alienate single mothers.
Exactly.
You know, much as we want to make it look cool, sometimes it feels like single mothers are doing this because they feel like they have to fight for themselves.
Yeah.
They have to fight for their place and their kids. I want us to talk about that.
Sure.
That there's so much going on, we're not talking about it, but also sometimes when a single mother does this, it's because they feel judged. Also as a society, we have to stop judging.
The pressure, the stigma, the expectations. You know, it's really crazy.
We will talk about it. I'll certainly invite you back. So as we conclude, for the person that is watching, it could be a single mother, it could be a young person at the university whose ambition is to become a single mother because they're saying, I cannot be a wife, I cannot manage, but as a single mother, maybe I can because I have a job. And yet you've also told us that finances, it's just a small portion of what a single mother will deal with. As we conclude, what is it that you want someone to take from this conversation? What is that message you want to leave with them?
The first thing I would really want people to understand that there is whatever choice you take comes with goods and bads, advantages and disadvantages. So let's have our calculations right. Let's have our calculations.
Because choices have consequences.
Exactly. So let's go into things that we know we will handle, but also we are fully informed of what would happen and what might happen, and then be fully prepared so that once you navigate that situation, that stage, that circumstances, it won't be a surprise for you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. Let us make informed decisions. Rahmat, you're the best. Thank you so much for coming through. And I can't wait for you to come back.
Sure, I'll be glad to.
Yes. Thank you so much for being part of The Real Talk today. I loved it. Oh, goodness, I loved it so much, and I'm glad that Rahmat took time to be here with us. I'll certainly invite her. She's got the kind of energy that I want on The Real Talk, and I do hope that she's left you with a message that will carry you forward and that will help you make an informed decision, whether it's today or tomorrow. It's been a pleasure for me to bring you this conversation. We'll see you next week. God bless you.